Hello friends and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today we are going to start on this spooky vibes, glow in the dark, peekaboo tumbler. And I am so excited to show you how I achieved this look. So with that, let's jump right in. I hope you all enjoy. And please don't forget to like, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, please make sure you do so that you don't miss out on future tutorials. Now, jumping right in, I am going to start by saying we are going to use Mod Podge. I had somebody ask me to do this. What I will say is this is not my personal preference. I actually really despise using Mod Podge, and you're going to see why here in just a minute. But again, if you need a adhesive, Mod Podge does work to adhere your glitter. And it is an alternative to using the epoxy method or using glitter glue. So a few things that I will tell you is you do want to make sure that you work very, very quickly when you're using Mod Podge. It dries extremely fast, and you are definitely going to want to start on your bottoms and your tops. As you can see, I already had to put more glue on the bottom because the glitter did not adhere because the Mod Podge was already drying. So again, you're going to have to work very, very quickly if you want to use the Mod Podge. This is part of the reason I don't necessarily prefer this method, but if you are wanting to use an adhesive and want a little bit more work time, Crystal glitter glue is amazing, and it gives you the same kind of work time that epoxy would. But if Mod Podge is your adhesive of choice, again, it's personal preference. You can see here the coverage wasn't all that great. I am going to have to go in with a second coat, which just means additional time for me. But I wanted to show you guys this because, again, I'd been asked about it. And while this is not my preference, we are all here to learn different ways to do things and to share those different ways. So once it was fully dried and I'm testing it here, I did have to put it aside and wait. I did go in with a second coat of Mod Podge. You can see here that we're applying a pretty generous amount. We're making sure that all of our areas are covered, that there are no big dips, ripples, peaks, and valleys, anything like that, because if there are, this will show through in your glitter. And then from there, we're going to go in with our glitter. I started with Bruno. That's this green color from the glitter guy. And then I went in with Sun Coral right next to it, again from Glitter Guy. And we're just sprinkling that together. You do not have to have a perfect blend with this at all. Now the purple is it's actually from AB Designs. It's Born to Sparkle. Such a beautiful color. And then we went in with Lemon Zest as our final color from the Glitter Guy. And then we are just going to make sure that we get our bottom as well. And we are ready to clean up our glitter mess because, man, oh man, did we have a lot of it. And then let this dry. Mod Podge, again, it dries fairly quickly. The full cure time on Mod Podge, though, is a significant amount of time. Typically for Mod Podge, at least the brands that I have, you're looking at a 28-day cure time. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't move on to the next step, but it's not fully cured for 28 days. So once you're ready to move on to your next step, you're just going to apply your coats of epoxy until smooth. I did do 2 coats because I wanted to minimize sanding. And this is a peekaboo. So we want a very, very smooth surface with our peekaboos. And the reason that we want a surface that is so smooth is because when we use our spray paint or our acrylic paint, whatever paint you are using to go over your stencil vinyl or removable vinyl, you are not going to want any lumpies or bumpies because it is going to show through. So again, for this cup, I did go in with 2 coats. Both of them were 20 mLs, and I allowed those to fully cure. These were fast sets, so I only had to wait about 3 hours in between coats and pop any bubbles. Now, I found these cute little ghost face decals on Creative Fabrica. I will have my affiliate link below, but I will tell you, I love Creative Fabrica. If you've been watching my videos, you guys know I can get water slides from there, my sublimations from there. Creative Fabrica really does have literally something for everyone. I get fonts from there. It's literally amazing. But I found these cute little ghosts and cute little faces on Creative Fabrica. And so I decided that those were what I wanted to use. Now, the black is just regular Cricut vinyl. Cricut brand is not necessarily my favorite brand, but that was the brand that I had on hand and available to use for these little guys. So we just got those all weeded out. And then I am using my stencil vinyl. If you have removable vinyl, excuse me, that will work just as well. There are some creators that use permanent vinyl, but what I will say is the sentiment is it's a little bit more challenging to pull those off. So I just found this stencil vinyl on Amazon and I love it. I use it any time that I am going to be doing a peekaboo and it works beautifully. So from there, I also used this glow in the dark vinyl from Tech Wrap Craft. Excuse me. What I will tell you is I wish I had used more pressure when cutting this. And I don't think that I would have had so much of a struggle as you guys are seeing here. Usually their vinyl weeds beautifully. So I will tell you, definitely probably was because of the pressure setting that I had it on. And you'll see here, like I'm trying to like use my weeding pin to cut through. I end up getting my craft knife to cut through. Like this was a process for sure. So what I would tell you is if you're using this glow in the dark vinyl, add more pressure. You'll be grateful you did. Or there are some creators that actually do a double cut. Just make sure you don't take your mat out of your cutting machine. So once we get all of this weeded, which did take a pretty fair amount of time, then we are going to be ready to move on to the peekaboo portion of it. But while we're waiting on this, friends, if you have not joined my free Facebook VIP group, I would love for you guys to join. I have linked it in the description, so feel free to use that and join the group. This is a place that is safe for all of us crafters of any kind to share, learn, and just really build each other up in whether it's our craft, our business, whatever it is that we're doing. So I would love to have you guys join. And for those of you guys that are already in my group and are wanting a little bit more from a technique standpoint or want more one-on-one, I do have a membership group. It's my elite group. And it is a paid membership. It's only $10 a month, but I will provide you one-on-one time if that is something that you want. We'll have exclusives. And there will be things that I will share and go live on there that I don't do in my VIP group or here on YouTube. So if that is something that appeals to you and you are wanting to grow your business, tips and tricks, or just perfect your technique with more one-on-one guidance, that's the place to do it. Now, we are ready for the next step. This is where we are going to apply our stencil vinyl and make sure that we are ready to go with our peekaboo. Now, I placed the spooky and the vibes. I used my transfer tape to do that. That way I didn't mess up the spacing. I didn't mess up the wording, anything. Vibes is a super delicate word, so I wanted to make sure that none of that ripped or tore, so I didn't have to cut again. And then pretty sure I went in and I placed the rest, like the little bats and the stars and the ghost, by hand. I can't remember. It was probably a little while ago. But here you're just going to see I'm using my squeegee. Make sure that we've got it all nice and adhered to the transfer tape so that we can just quickly apply it to the cup itself. Now, one thing I'll say is when you are applying it to your cup, make sure that you rub it in really, really good. The reason that this is important is sometimes you'll see that you'll get a little bit of overspray that leaks through. Making sure that everything is pressed down really nice helps prevent that. It doesn't prevent it 100% of the time, but it definitely helps. So here you're seeing me just try and find the right place. I'm trying to pick a place where, again, it looks blended. We didn't really do a whole lot of blending with these colors, but I wanted the transition to look nice through the peekaboo part. So there was a little bit of strategy or strategic placing with that. And we're just going to continue that on with all of our decals. have those all on, we are ready to move to the next step, which is spray painting. So I just used this gloss black spray paint from Rust-Oleum, and we sprayed the entire cup. You'll have to excuse me that I got a little bit out of frame here, but you just want to make sure you've got nice even coverage. And if you need to go back for a second coat, please let it dry and go back for your second coat. It's super, super important that you do not have any drips because this is the primary portion of the design. Once this is fully dried, I did let mine dry for roughly about 3 to 4 hours. You're going to go in and you are going to pull up all of your stencil vinyl. This is probably my favorite part about doing any peekaboo because I get to see how my vision is just kind of coming to life, and how the cup is going to end up looking. So I'm going to finish putting these all off, and then from there we're going to be ready for our next step in the process. Whew. Well, now that we have those all pulled up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go in. I did one layer of epoxy, and I let that cure for 3 hours because it was a fast set. But we did go in, we used our torch to pop any bubbles we had. And once we had it all cured, we were actually ready to move on to the very last step before our final coats of epoxy. And this is what is going to bring this cup together. But can we just appreciate how gorgeous this looks? Okay, so now on to our final step, which is applying the vinyl faces, the little eyes and lips. I am just picking and choosing. There is no rhyme or reason. And I'm putting them where I feel like their eyes and mouth would be. And then I'm going in and you're going to see me struggle big time with this vinyl. Again, I think this had a lot to do with how, like, the pressure I cut it on. So I truly, truly believe that had I increased my pressure, this would have been significantly easier. But I was bound and determined to make it work. So I actually gave up on my transfer tape, especially for the lettering, and said, okay, I'm just going to very, very slowly place these down and hope for the very, very best. And it actually looks a hot mess. It did take some time and a lot of patience, um, but it actually laid down beautifully. This is probably um, one of the most challenging outlines I've had to do. But again, I don't think that is because of the outline or because of the vinyl itself. I think it is because I did not put enough pressure when I was cutting it. So I'm going to finish outlining all my ghosts, my little stars, my bats with this glow in the dark vinyl from Tech Craft. And then, friends, I am going to go in with my final 2 layers of epoxy and let it fully cure for 8 to 12 hours. And then this cup was finished. I am obsessed with how this cup turned out. Like, if it was not for a craft fair, I would have kept it myself. I'm pretty sure I even told my husband, if it doesn't sell, I'm not listing it, I'm keeping it. But who knows? Um, anyways, this was really the end of our first spooky season tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would love to know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this, drop me a little ghost in the comments. Here I'm trying to show you it's glowing. It's definitely not dark enough, but you can kind of see it a little bit. I just love how this turned out. But friends, thank you again so much for joining me today. If you duplicate this or do something similar because you were inspired by it, I would love for you to tag me. I'd love to see your guys' work. But with that, friends, until next week, I will see you all on social, and you guys just have the very best week. Bye now.